Hey everyone, ready to dive into some AI with us today?
Always excited to talk AI.
We're looking at DeepSeek today,
Yeah, the Chinese AI startup.
making waves and sending ripples through the stock market.
All the way to Wall Street, yeah.
So you want to understand how DeepSeek is changing the game, especially for companies like NVIDIA.
We'll break down.
DeepSeek is challenging giants like OpenAI and
Yeah.
Google,
Oh, yeah.
not just with their models, but with their approach.
Their surprisingly affordable approach.
That's got everyone talking.
It's a real David and Goliath story.
Right.
Except instead of slingshots, we're talking algorithms. And billions of dollars hanging in the balance.
Absolutely.
DeepSeek's newest model, R1, is matching the performance of some of these OpenAI models.
It's true.
But it's 95% cheaper to use.
That's the thing that's got people a little bit nervous.
I see some investors sweating a little bit.
Yeah.
Mark Andreessen called DeepSeek's emergence an AI Sputnik moment.
I think that's a great comparison.
I think so too.
Like when the Soviet Union launched Sputnik
It was a shift.
in the global landscape.
DeepSeek is doing that right now in the world of AI.
Yeah, so let's rewind. Where did DeepSeek even come from? What are they aiming to do?
Less than 2 years ago, a Chinese hedge fund called Highflyer decided to jump into the AI race and founded DeepSeek.
Okay.
Their mission is AGI.
Artificial General Intelligence.
That's the dream of a machine that can truly think like a human.
So not just building a chatbot,
No.
but something truly intelligent.
Yeah.
That's ambitious, to say the least.
It is, but their CEO, Liang Wenfeng, is taking a long-term approach.
Okay.
Instead of chasing quick profits, he's hiring all these young, brilliant researchers.
Oh.
And telling them to focus on solving fundamental problems.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like he's building a think tank more than a tech startup.
I like that approach a lot. And it seems to be paying off.
It really does.
In late 2024, DeepSeek released some open source models,
Yeah.
and they were so efficient that they triggered price wars within the Chinese AI industry.
Classic disruption.
That's how they first got noticed on a global scale.
Come in with a better, cheaper product and force the whole market to adjust.
Exactly.
But now DeepSeek isn't just disrupting China, they're impacting the global landscape.
All right, let's get into this R1 model that's
Yeah.
causing all this commotion. What makes it so special? How does it stack up against the big players like OpenAI?
R1 matched OpenAI's O1 model on several crucial math and reasoning tests.
Okay.
That's a really big deal.
So this is like the top tier.
The O1 is considered very advanced.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting. DeepSeek claims they spent a mere $6 million
$6 million.
to train R1,
Wow.
while companies like OpenAI and Microsoft have poured billions into their models.
Wait, $6 million versus billion?
It's not even a rounding error for some of these companies.
How can they be so efficient?
That's the question.
That has to be impacting the bottom line for companies like NVIDIA,
It absolutely does.
who make the expensive chips used to train these models.
That's what we're seeing.
This AI Sputnik moment.
Yeah.
News of DeepSeek R1 hits, and NVIDIA's stock price
Plummets.
more than 15% in a single morning.
It did.
Other U.S. tech stocks felt the tremors too.
Oh, it was a big moment.
So DeepSeek isn't just playing with algorithms.
Right.
They're playing with the stock market.
Uh-huh.
And you mentioned that DeepSeek is open source.
They are.
How does that approach compare to OpenAI and Google, keeping their code secret?
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
Open source means they share their tools and models freely.
Really?
Anyone can study them, modify them, build on them.
Interesting.
It's a completely different philosophy than OpenAI.
Wouldn't DeepSeek be worried about someone stealing their technology
That's a valid question.
if it's all out in the open?
Yeah, but they're betting on the power of collaboration
Okay.
and rapid innovation.
All right.
So by making their models open source, they're attracting talent and encouraging others to build upon their work.
And it's working.
It's working.
Yeah.
They're now leaders in open source AI,
Even ahead of Meta.
even ahead of Meta.
So they're not just competing, they're fostering a whole ecosystem around their technology.
That's right.
Pretty smart. But there's also this chip conundrum, right?
There is.
What's the story there?
DeepSeek claims that U.S. export restrictions on advanced AI chips are limiting their progress. They say they train R1 on just 2,000 second-tier NVIDIA chips because they can't access the really powerful ones.
So geopolitical tensions are literally shaping the AI landscape.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
I thought I read something about DeepSeek maybe having access to way more chips.
Well, that's the conundrum.
Okay.
Alexander Wang, the CEO of Scale AI, suggested DeepSeek might actually have 50,000 of the most powerful NVIDIA chips, the H100s.
That's a huge discrepancy.
It is.
So is DeepSeek being strategic, downplaying their resources to avoid more restrictions?
Yeah.
Or are they genuinely limited, which makes their achievements even more impressive?
It's like a high-stakes poker game, and we're trying to figure out their hand.
Exactly.
This is what makes DeepSeek so interesting right now.
Yeah.
They're shaking up the industry, achieving these remarkable results with potentially limited resources, and their impact on the market is undeniable.
So what happens next?
That's the big question.
All right, let's delve into that. What does all this mean for the future of AI? What should you, our listener, be paying attention to as DeepSeek continues to make its mark? Let's unpack that in part 2 of our deep dive.
DeepSeek's rise is a sign that the AI landscape is changing. We're moving away from a world dominated by a few big players.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see a company come in and just shake things up, especially one that embraces open source and challenges conventional thinking. But for those of us watching the markets, what does it mean when a company can suddenly make NVIDIA's stock drop like that? Are other companies in trouble?
DeepSeek's efficiency is a direct threat to companies relying on that expensive hardware.
Okay.
If you're a tech giant heavily invested in those pricey chips, you've got to be looking at DeepSeek and thinking, are we next?
It's a wake-up call.
It's a wake-up call for the entire industry.
Should those of us with 401ks be paying attention?
Absolutely.
To what DeepSeek does next?
DeepSeek is impacting the market in a way that few startups can.
Okay.
They're not just developing technology, they're changing the rules of the game.
Right.
If they can achieve these results with limited resources, imagine what happens as they gain access to even more computing power.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're already a major disruptor, and they seem to be just getting started, this whole situation with the chips. And the potential for them to have more resources than they're letting on just adds another layer of complexity.
We've seen DeepSeek's impact on NVIDIA, but what about companies like Google and OpenAI?
Right.
They're the ones DeepSeek is directly challenging with their models. How do they respond to a competitor that can achieve comparable or even superior results at a fraction of the cost?
Yeah.
These are the questions that investors and industry analysts are grappling with right now.
It's a real nail-biter for anyone with a stake in the tech industry. And it brings us back to that concept of test-time compute. Could you break that down a bit more? Because if DeepSeek is really pioneering this new approach, that has massive implications, not just for the technology, but for the companies trying to profit from it.
Absolutely. Test-time compute is a shift in how we think about AI development.
Okay.
Traditionally, the focus has been on gathering massive amounts of data and using it to train larger and larger models.
Right.
But test-time compute suggests that we can achieve comparable or even better results by focusing on optimizing the thinking process of the model itself.
So instead of just feeding the AI more information, we're teaching it to think more effectively.
Exactly.
Got it.
And this is where DeepSeek's R1, and to some extent OpenAI's O1 are so intriguing. They're demonstrating that we don't necessarily need those gigantic data sets to achieve breakthroughs.
That's a huge deal.
It raises a lot of questions.
Like what?
What happens to the value of those data-centric companies?
Right.
Who benefits from this shift toward test-time compute? And how does it change the dynamics of the AI race?
It's like the rules of the game are being rewritten in front of us.
They are.
And for investors, it's crucial to understand what those new rules are and who's positioned to win under them.
This brings us right back to DeepSeek.
Okay.
Their focus on test-time compute, combined with their open source approach, their cost efficiency, and their ability to operate effectively even with limited resources, makes them a truly formidable competitor.
So they're not just playing the game, they're changing it.
Exactly.
It's like watching a grandmaster chess player make a move that nobody saw coming. And suddenly the whole board looks different.
Exactly. And for those watching the AI landscape, whether from a technological or a financial perspective, it's crucial to understand the implications of DeepSeek's moves.
So for our listener, what's the key takeaway they should walk away with from this part of our deep dive?
The AI landscape is in flux. DeepSeek's emergence is a major catalyst for change, and their impact is being felt far beyond. The world of algorithms and research papers, they're disrupting the market, challenging the established players, and forcing us to rethink our assumptions about how AI will evolve and who will benefit from it.
We're watching the opening moves of a really intense game of chess, and DeepSeek just made a move that's changed the whole board.
And for investors, for companies operating in the AI space, even for everyday folks who will be impacted by this technology, it's crucial to understand the game that's being played.
So we've established that DeepSeek is a major disruptor. They're incredibly efficient. They're not afraid to play by their own rules. But what does that mean for the future? Should we be excited, worried, or both?
I think it's healthy to be both. The potential benefits of AI are immense. Personalized medicine, solving complex scientific problems. But DeepSeek's emergence also highlights the potential for rapid shifts in the economic landscape.
So it's not just about the technology.
No.
It's about the ripple effects.
Precisely. And this is why it's so important to have open conversations about AI, to understand its potential impact, and to think critically about how we want to shape its development. DeepSeek's story is a reminder that the future of AI isn't predetermined, it's being written right now. And we all have a role to play in shaping that future.
We often think of these tech advancements as inevitable. But DeepSeek is showing us that the future is still very much up for grabs.
Absolutely. And it's not just about individual companies or even countries. The future of AI will be shaped by collaborations, by competition, by government policies, and by public awareness. It's a complex ecosystem, and DeepSeek is a fascinating case study in how a single player can shake things up and force everyone to adapt.
So for our listener, what should they be watching for as DeepSeek continues to make waves? What are the key indicators that they're really changing the game, not just in the AI world, but in the world at large?
Keep an eye on the stock market. DeepSeek's impact on NVIDIA's valuation was a major signal, and it's likely just the beginning. Watch how other tech giants react, especially those reliant on expensive hardware and data acquisition.
So even if you're not a tech enthusiast, this DeepSeek story is something to watch, because it might be impacting your portfolio right now.
Exactly. Also pay attention to who's partnering with DeepSeek. If they start collaborating with major players in different industries, it's a sign that their technology is gaining traction.
Partnerships are a good indicator.
And finally, keep an ear out for how governments are responding to DeepSeek's rise.
Okay.
The U.S. has already implemented export restrictions, and other countries may follow suit. This geopolitical dimension will have a significant impact on DeepSeek's trajectory and on the future of AI development globally.
It's amazing how a single company can become a focal point for so many different forces, technological, economic, and geopolitical.
DeepSeek's story is a reminder that AI is not just about algorithms and code, it's about power, about innovation, and about the choices we make as a society.
Well, you've given our listeners a lot to think about. As we wrap up this deep dive into DeepSeek, what's the one message you want to leave them with?
Stay curious, stay informed, and don't underestimate the power of a good idea to change the world. DeepSeek's journey is just beginning, and it's a journey worth following, no matter where your interests lie.
It's a fascinating time to be alive, that's for sure. To our listeners, thanks for joining us. On this exploration of DeepSeek and the ever-evolving AI landscape, stay tuned for our next deep dive, where we'll uncover another corner of the world that's being transformed by technology innovation and the human drive to push beyond the boundaries of what's possible.